Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. Nice to see all of you. I hope you are continuing to have a really good day. My name is Amy Whitman, and I am the Interim Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs for Career Development. Welcome again to Washington University. We are so happy that you are here, and we are so happy that your students are here. So on behalf of our entire team at the Career Center, we look forward to meeting your students and to have the opportunity to get to know them and you by name and story. So today, I would like to spend time providing you with an overview of the Career Center program to give you a sense of how we approach the work of career education and how we intend to work with your students. Joining me today are two of my wonderful colleagues. We have Jim Burney, who is our Director for External Relations, and Carol Moakley, who is our Associate Director for Career Development, and they will both be joining me in just a few moments in our presentation today. So I will be giving a short overview of our approach and the resources that we offer to your students at the Career Center. And then for the second part of our time together today, we have put together a panel of students and one young alum who are here to share a few reflections and thoughts and advice with you from their perspective. And then we should have time at the end for an open Q&A to take some of your questions. So that is our plan. Okay, so I would like to start us out with an overview of our mission statement in the Career Center, which really informs our why for how we do our work. We are here to provide career education to your students in order to prepare them for a successful and intentional launch into their first and likely not the last career pathway that they will have over the course of their life. Our approach includes a 4-year developmental model that starts ideally in the first year, and it includes a strong emphasis on preparation through engagement with the world of work, through experiential learning opportunities, such as internships, research, and volunteer experiences. I wanted to talk for just a moment about how students come to us. We support and coach students who are actively exploring, seeking, and discovering, as well as those who show up with more clearly defined career goals. We support students as they move along and through, and sometimes back and forth along this continuum. Our philosophy and our approach and our intention is always to meet students where they are. We are an opt-in program, and we strongly recommend that students begin engaging with us as soon as the first year. It's also important to know that we are a centralized resource for students who are exploring all different post-graduation pathways, including professional experiences in the world of work, as well as graduate school, law school, medical school, gap year, and other self-authored experiences. Finally, a lot of the work, and actually I would say most of the work that we do happens in collaboration and partnership with many other wonderful people across our campus community. I am very grateful and fortunate to have the opportunity to work with a very talented and committed team of colleagues. Their pictures are here. So our team, just to give you an orientation to how we are organized, We are organized in 3 different functional areas within our team, which includes career development, employer relations, and then an operations group. But at its heart, for each of us, our work is to be educators, coaches, and relationship builders. And I would also add, and I can say this, I think with a lot of confidence, that everybody on our team takes incredible joy out of having the opportunity to work with your students. Your Career Center team brings expertise in leadership, business, social work, law, consulting, communications, medicine, government, the sciences, arts practice and administration, and think tanks. All are experienced career advisors and employer engagement specialists who look forward to working with your students and on their behalf over these next 4 years. Our career education approach and program is built primarily on a foundation of the importance of relationships with your students. We aspire to know each of them by name and by story, so we may provide individualized and customized guidance, coaching, and support. This work happens through a career education framework that we follow and that we've designed that we call Assess, Explore, Search, and Launch. And those are the 4 stages of career education that we design all of our program to align with and that we try to walk through with your students. So this model is really framed by guiding principles of early and regular engagement, both with people on our team in the Career Center, but really throughout the entire WashU community. Multiple meaningful pre-professional experiences, and the importance of cultivating and maintaining networks and personal boards of advisors. We teach these skills to your students through a number of different approaches, including group programs and workshops, individual career coaching, career interest groups, 4-credit academic courses, and collaborations through and with our campus partners. Another important aspect of our work is to develop and cultivate employment relationships with our alumni and employer partners. As I mentioned, we have a talented and dedicated team who focus on this work, which includes developing internship and full-time employment opportunities for our students, including designing on-campus interviewing experiences, and collaborating and organizing employer engagement and recruitment opportunities, such as Meet with a Pro events featuring alumni and professional speakers, industry panels, employer information sessions, all-campus career fairs, and slams. So now I'd like to talk you through some of the advice that we offer students and how we think about some of their career education milestones that we try to encourage and support during the first and second year. So the first is to identify your why. So when we are working with students and talking to students, we really try to encourage them to think about what are their skills, what are their dreams, what are their goals, what are the experiences that they're having where they feel a lot of energy, where they are in flow, and starting to think about how might that map up to potential career pathways. The second is to cultivate a growth mindset. So this is something that we talk about in all of our engagements with students, both explicitly and implicitly. So thinking about how do we continue to support and encourage persistence, how do we think about grit, how do we think about reframing situations, how do we focus on what we're learning as opposed to being perhaps sometimes a little too focused on the outcome. And so these are all these growth mindset opportunities that we really practice and work on with students as well. We try to help our students think about the 3 components that go into their career thinking and career decision making, including their academic program, the activities that they are engaged with both on and off campus, and also experiences, this experiential learning that I mentioned. So we're always trying to help students be able to make meaning of these 3 different components of their work and their lives, and look at where the through lines, try to articulate the themes that are emerging to help them engage in this exploration process. We are very strong proponents of trying on as many different experiences as possible. So experiential learning through internships, through research, through volunteer work, through shadowing, through mentoring opportunities, through micro internships. These are all the kinds of experiences that we really want each of our students to have in some degree over the course of their WashU experience, and trying to focus on doing at least some piece of one of these the summer after the first year is a really good milestone to hit. And finally, we talk a lot about building a personal board of advisors. So what I like to imagine with this is what would it look like if each of our students had a small team of people at WashU. So it might be their academic advisor, it might be a career advisor, it might be a faculty member with whom they've really connected, it might be their RA, it might be their RCD, it might be other student group advisors. Who are the people within the community to whom they may go for feedback, for counsel, for idea generation, to problem solve? So we really try to encourage students to cultivate and assemble this personal board of advisors as a really critical group to help shepherd them and lead them through their time at WashU. As we then look ahead to the junior and senior year, and of course these are very fluid, so students may move very quickly through some of these pieces and be ready to start to layer on additional milestones in their own journey. But as we think ahead to junior and senior year, some of the goals that we try to encourage our students to engage in, including this continued feedback gathering from advisors and mentors, really leaning into and starting to understand what are the search strategies and the toolkit of skills that they're going to need to have in order to be successful in their search processes. So everything from their marketing materials of a resume and cover letter and LinkedIn profile to learning how to interview, to really practicing and cultivating those networking skills. So all of these are in the toolbox of search skills that students will want to develop. So we try to focus on helping to teach and coach towards those. I've already mentioned the importance of the experiential learning, and that does not stop in the junior and senior year. We love for students to continue to think about ways to try on different experiences. We have a strong priority on connecting students with alumni and professionals in the world of work, and really teaching students to be able to build and cultivate those relationships themselves. And so that is a big part of the way that we approach our work. And finally, we want students to both know how to apply for opportunities and then to apply for opportunities. So that is sort of a final and at times ongoing part of the process as students are applying for internships throughout their WashU education, and then as they're starting to apply for full-time jobs post-graduation as well. I wanted to share with you a snapshot of our outcomes. So our WashU students end up doing very well as they transition out of the university. They go on to have both full-time employment experiences after WashU. Many go on to graduate and professional schools. So they are ending up landing in a number of wonderful experiences post-WashU, and we are very proud of the many different places that they go. And finally, this gives you just a very small snapshot of what some of those destinations look like. So as you can see, our students end up landing across industries, in all types of organizations and companies, and they end up going on to pursue graduate education in a number of different places as well. So now I'm going to invite up Jim Burney to talk a little bit about specific ways that you can both support your individual student and then also potentially supporting the whole WashU student community. Jim.
Thank you, Amy. So what can you do as parents and families to support your sons and daughters? A couple of things. This is going to be a journey. There's going to be detours. There's going to be dead ends. There's going to be circles. They're going to go back and forth. There's going to be walls. Support them with encouragement, with curiosity. We want you to help them expand their options and their opportunities. Okay? Think about this. An influencer, a telemedicine physician, a cryptocurrency project manager, a driverless car engineer, a chief learning officer. None of these roles existed 10 years ago. Just imagine 4 years from now, when your sons and daughters get out of school, 10 years from now, what they're going to be looking at. And one other comment I'd make is, I bet you have asked this question at least once. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? I'd suggest, and I have 2 seniors, so I've done that a few times, but I'd suggest that you ask, what kind of problems do you want to solve, and what kind of expertise do you want to bring to solving those problems? That's a way of expanding their horizons, of thinking beyond what's currently in front of them today. So I'd encourage you to send them to the Career Center events. They don't have to go this week, maybe even the next month or so, but we know all of our data shows there's a high correlation between engagement with us, our offices around the university, and success. So we really do encourage early engagement. A professional summer experience, whether it's for-profit, not-for-profit, government, volunteer work, as Amy mentioned, after first year, is really, really useful. Now, half the time they come back and say, oh, now I know what I don't want to do. That's fabulous input. That's great feedback. And the sooner we get them involved in these experiential opportunities, the better off they're going to be. A lot of these students, after their first year, if they have a good experience, we never see them senior year. They've got it all figured out. They're really doing well. So we encourage your sons and daughters to come in early and often. I'm not sure which way to send this. Okay, so here's a couple other things you can do. If you have internships or full-time roles, please send them to us, okay? If you want to hire an intern or a co-op or someone next summer, just let us know and we can work with you to help advertise that role and make it happen. WashU Connects is a brand new platform that we just launched this past year. I kind of think about it as a more intimate LinkedIn platform. We've invited faculty, staff, students, alumni, and we'd like to invite parents into that platform. You can just literally Google from anywhere in the world, WashU-CNX, and you can then apply and get into the platform. And it's a great way for students to start informational interviewing, having career conversations. Again, they'll be able to talk to people who are doing what they think they might want to do, and they'll be able to get some immediate feedback. And finally, if you've got any other questions about opportunities, feel free to reach out to me. You've got my email, and I'll be around afterwards if needed to talk. Thank you, Amy.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So now I would like to invite up my colleague Carol Moakley and our 3 panelists who are going to share some reflections and advice from their own experience in terms of their career education journey. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Good to see you all. We thought it would be great to sort of illuminate the slides and what we do kind of formally with hearing from a couple of folks who know us well. And these three have agreed to speak today. They all have some connection to the Career Center. They're not like strangers we plucked off the street, but they are also not scripted. So they're really speaking from their heart, and I'm grateful for that. So thanks, you guys. Okay, so just to introduce very briefly, on the end is Luke Kwong, and Luke graduated in 2021, so just this past year, and he is from Los Angeles area, but now lives in St. Louis. And then Yael Silberman is a junior, and Yael is from McAllen, Texas, and we're grateful for you to be here. And then Rahul Khanna is a sophomore. So I was telling the previous group the same thing because it stuck with me. We walked in here and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I've never been in here before," because last year we weren't here. So and Rahul is from St. Louis. So we came up with 3 questions to kind of get things started. And then we'll have a Q&A after that. If you have questions for these folks or for the staff, we'll end up there. So the first question, and Luke, maybe you can kick us off. Did you start college thinking that you knew what you wanted to do career-wise, and are you still on that path?
That's a good question. I will go back 4 years earlier in my memory. But to just give a snapshot, I now work as a consultant at Ernst & Young, and I started work there just this past month. So if you ever wonder, as I'm going through the story, where did he end up? I declared economics as my primary major through arts and sciences as a freshman. So I knew that I wanted to do something in that realm of kind of math and business and economics and research. And that narrowed when I declared my second major of financial engineering at the end of freshman year. And so all of my experiences are tied to business, but they're all in really different areas within business. Business itself is a very versatile kind of area to engage in for your career. I worked in kind of a startup environment after my freshman year, in a nonprofit environment after my sophomore year, and then in financial advice and business analytics after my junior year. So a lot of different areas, and how I view consulting now, where I'm at in my own career, is being in the industry that I want to be in, which is in wealth management, but keeping my options open. Consulting is a great way, at least in my mind, to learn a lot about business in a short amount of time, and to learn a lot about a lot of different companies, because you're working with different clients and on different projects in a given year. So I would say, to summarize, I came in knowing I wanted to do business, and I've kind of kept my options open, and I kind of have continued to do so. But I think I've been getting a lot of skills and have a strong foundation to do that.
Okay, Yael.
Yeah, so my story is a little different. Okay. So I loosely came in thinking I wanted to be a pre-med student. Honestly, I wasn't ready to commit to the career yet, and I decided to spend my first 2 years really exploring all of my interests. So then for a period of time, I really thought, okay, maybe I'll go into law and politics just because I have a really strong interest in international affairs. I took various classes, I spoke to many professors, and I realized I was still naturally inclined to learning about the brain, to learning about mental health, learning about emotions. And so that's kind of where I picked up my major in cognitive neuroscience and thought, okay, maybe I'll pursue a PhD. And then I decided to get involved in research, take those classes, speak to other advisors. And what I realized was that I was missing that patient interaction. And I was really looking to form connections and relationships with people and see the difference that I was, hopefully going to make. And so that's how I knew that medicine was the career for me, and now I'm really excited to pursue it. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
All of high school, I really wanted to become a lawyer, so I came into WashU pretty headstrong that career path. I remember I joined like the pre-law society off the bat, and I enrolled in like the law and society class. And those experiences, I kind of was like a little pushed away because I didn't know if I fit in that legal environment. And throughout high school, although I said I wanted to become a lawyer, I didn't really have like firsthand experiences like I did at WashU that kind of exposed me to that. And then randomly my fall semester, I picked up a internship, like a remote internship in venture capital, and I really liked like the transactional nature of the business and working with clients and such. So I kind of felt like business and finance was kind of more geared towards me, and that I kind of took that further. I joined a couple clubs. I talked to more people in that field, and this summer I worked at a bank downtown called Stiefel as a commercial banking intern. So through those experiences, I kind of realized that maybe business finance, that environment is more fit for me. And I guess the moral of the story is that it's okay to change. Like, even though you've thought you wanted to be something for a really long time, like, and it kind of feels weird when you kind of deviate from that path, but it's perfectly okay to do so. And college is the 4 years you have to do really like anything you want without having many consequences. So yeah.
Great, thanks, you guys. I love the educational process that happened with all of you. What experiences have been most impactful in navigating your career direction so far? So impactful experiences that have helped you figure your way to this point.
Okay, so something that I learned my first 2 years was that you could really use your passions to create beneficial experiences for your career. And so I'm really passionate in learning about mental health. And so I quite literally went on Google, looked up undergraduate research lab mental health, and a list of different WashU labs came up in the psychological and brain sciences department. I applied and joined a team. And so throughout my experience there, I ended up meeting with my lab coordinator, and we were just casually chatting outside of lab time. And that's really when I got to expand and think a lot about where my head was at, my ideas. And that's when I realized that maybe just because I didn't want to pursue research as my career, it's definitely not something I have to leave, but I can continue to do on the side and now continue my career in medicine. And another experience I would say is I really enjoy working with immigrant families, especially coming from South Texas. It's a population I've been involved with for a lot of years. And so coming to St. Louis, I wanted to continue working with that population. And actually, after meeting with Ms. Sarah Sperry, who is part of the Career Center, I learned more about this institute called Casa de Salud, which is a free clinic that provides medical attention for underserved populations. And so I'm really excited to hopefully start there soon. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I can go next. I think for me, the first two experiences that pop into my head, one that I already mentioned was my internship at Thrivent Financial. I worked in advice and planning and was able to do a lot of project work there, which very much informed why I found consulting to be an attractive career post-college, post-graduation. But I think the reason that experience stands out to me so much is because of my manager. I had a really enjoyable relationship with him and was able to have many conversations with him to learn more about the industry and how he was viewing the department at the time. And he was able to get to know me better and know my interests better so that he could give me work that was more aligned with my expectation for my role, as well as where I wanted to further my interest or deepen my skills. And I think for the future, he provides a really good model for me to kind of judge what management I want to work under in the future. And I think that's really important. I think one thing that's underrated, especially in business, is you can probably enjoy a lot of your jobs if you enjoy the people you work with and the people you work under. And so I think that relationship was really helpful for me, a really positive experience in my mind. The second experience that I found really meaningful is a bit of a non sequitur. I was an RA and also a WUSA. I see some of you back there. Thank you for the work that you do. But I am really passionate about building community, supporting students through mental health. That's actually something that I've been able to continue post-graduation, working at a crisis text line. And so I think a really important point about that is after graduation, even if you don't make it a career, continue to pursue your interests. And, a career is not just what you do for a job. It's not just what you do 9 to 5. It's the person that you want to be to society and to the people around you. And so I think being an RA really helped shape that, and a lot of the soft skills and leadership skills that I'm thankful to carry into my work and into all aspects of my life.
Thank you. Rahul?
I'm only like a year out from like where all of you guys are right now, so I don't have like a ton of experiences under my belt to talk about, but I guess because I'm interested in like business finance, picking up an internship this summer at Stiefel downtown was pretty pivotal for me, because I guess I was kind of nervous before to see if I fit into that finance type environment, because I'd say it's like pretty unique, and it turned out like working out pretty well because I enjoyed like that collegiate atmosphere, like pretty high intensity, like kind of longish hours, and I don't know, I just had a really good time. So I guess that internship was kind of really important to see if I fit in that banking environment, and it's definitely something that I want to continue like next summer and beyond. So yeah.
Thank you. And I think we'll do our third question fairly quickly so we can open it up for Q&A before we finish. Do you have any brief advice for these families as they seek to support their student through their WashU experience and sort of the career journey part of it?
Yeah, I guess my biggest piece of advice for parents is to help your students by like leveraging your own network. My internship wouldn't have been possible without the help of like one of my parents' friends. So really like reach out to in your network and see if like anyone's hiring, like to even for like just informational like interviews and such. Like it can be really important, especially in those first 2 years. It's kind of hard because most companies kind of like shoo away freshmen and sophomores because they're kind of like targeted towards juniors and seniors. But with the help of like your friends' parents and your parents' friends and such, it really helps.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, my biggest piece of advice is to encourage students to really pick up a growth mindset or a yes mindset, in the sense of really putting themselves out there. There are a lot of opportunities within the WashU community, and just sending that cold email, introducing yourself, really opens a lot of doors. And so to also use a lot of WashU's resources, just because there are so many for absolutely anything, and to know that there's not one correct way to do a journey, and if there's a goal you have in mind, you will reach it the way you like aligned with your passions. And so just know that there isn't necessarily a correct way. To trust your students. There will be bumps along the way, but honestly, they're made to just create a smoother ride in the future. So
I think the piece of advice that I would give is to simply communicate. I had the opportunity to do this actually with Carol in the Career Center, just having a lot of dialogue and conversation about what I was interested in and what career or what job or what opportunities that could possibly lead to, whether those were actual jobs or just volunteer opportunities or things that I could get plugged into on campus. And I think also doing that with my own parents, communication is really important. Checking in with your student, seeing what they're interested in, seeing what they care about, seeing what they're learning is like a great point of connection and shows that you care. And then for your students to communicate just like what they're thinking about, what's their thought process. So this conversation about career doesn't have to be, a Christmas time, the aunt is asking, what are you doing in college? Or, right before summer, your student doesn't have any plans. It doesn't have to be that big conversation, but rather kind of this ongoing dialogue that makes questions about career and about future, I think, more manageable and a lot more easy to navigate.
Thanks, you guys. You were awesome. Thank you very, very much.
I would echo my thanks to our panelists. Thank you so much for sharing your feedback and your perspective with us. We are very grateful. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. So what I would love to do is open it up for a Q&A. And if I could please ask our WUSA partners, if you wouldn't mind coming down the aisles with a microphone. And if you have a question, if you would please ask it into the microphone so our friends who are watching via live stream can hear, that would be great. I'm stepping out so I can see
Yeah.
any
Hi.
hands.
Thank you. Over here.
Oh, yes, please. Come in.
Thanks to all of you and the panelists. Very informative. You touched a little bit about the summer after freshman year. I know that can be a challenging year. We heard about Stifle. Can you each go through the summer between your freshman and sophomore years and tell us what you did, and did you get that position through the Career Center or was that through personal networking? That would be helpful.
Yes, thank you. And so the follow-up question was, were the opportunities paid? Thank you.
I'll go ahead and start since mine was obviously the most recent. Like I mentioned before, I interned at Stifel Financial Investment Bank downtown. It was a paid opportunity, thankfully. Covered my gas from like the suburbs to downtown, which was good. I did that, and that was not directly through the Career Center, but I like relied on the Career Center pretty heavily for like resume preparation, cover letter, which went a long way. Sarah Sperry in the Career Center is great. She kind of helped like draft my cover letter, and we went through some rounds of edits and such. I also did another like small part-time internship actually at WashU at the different Career Center, the Weston Career Center, and I was like an operations intern. So that was just kind of to make a little more extra money on the side and get some relevant experience with Excel, and that was also paid.
So the summer after my freshman year was actually when COVID hit pretty badly. So I spent a lot of time doing a lot of remote opportunities. So I actually tutored through the International Institute of St. Louis. I also, what did I do after my freshman year? I also, I was a Washington University student associate, so I worked to prepare for the coming freshman year, for the first years coming in. And I worked a lot on a nonprofit organization that I actually founded a couple years ago, and really working on our website, growing that, expanding, and seeing where we can help during those tough times. Similarly, I also was in contact with Miss Sarah Sperry and just working on my resume, fixing my cover letter, just getting ready for when, the world was ready to pick up some type of normalcy again. And so just spending that time throughout the summer to really do a lot of volunteer service and work, and
During my summer after freshman year, I did two things. I took a statistics class. That's actually quite common for freshmen to do, especially in arts and sciences, to take a class so that they can accelerate through some more extensive majors, as was my double major. And then I also interned at a accelerator program that was unpaid, but the Career Center, and I use this resource twice, so freshman summer and sophomore summer, because I worked at a nonprofit the second summer. They have opportunities to apply for stipends over the summer, so I had income. It was just not directly from my job, but I think that's a great resource that not a lot of people know about, that you can apply for. And I got that opportunity. There are many parts of this question. I got that opportunity in my freshman summer at that accelerator program through kind of a career event and kind of going through the different sequences of contacting people to get that role.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. If anybody would like to offer a final question for us. Oh, yes. Please come in.
Okay, so when do most students start their research positions or internships? And do you think it would be too overwhelming for an adjusting freshman to start it in the beginning of their first semester?
I'd say it kind of just depends. I think like my first couple weeks, I was just a little nervous about getting adjusted and finding like a good social circle and getting kind of adapted to college classes. So I didn't pick anything up the first couple weeks, but after I kind of got the hang of things and I had like a little extra time, I picked up like my part-time internship. So definitely there is time if you budget it out, but I would say you don't have to go in with the mindset of needing to do something right off the bat, because really finding like your social space and like getting your headset right for college, because it's much different than high school. I think that should come first always.
And I would say statistically, for rising sophomores, less than 10% of students know what they're going to do by January 1st. Okay, most of the roles, about 60% of the roles come in April, May, and June. So we want them to get really settled academically, and we will be here for them.
Thank you, Jim. All right, well, I think we are going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for joining us. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me or to Carol or Jim, and we will be happy to assist you. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thank you so much for being here.